Have you ever found yourself staring blankly at a math problem, wondering if these numbers are conspiring against you? Let me tell you, you're not the only one. I remember once in the fifth grade, I was so baffled by a question, I ended up with an answer that involved fat donkeys and masala khichdi. Needless to say, neither my parents nor my teachers were impressed with my performance. Let's take an instance when I was in the fifth grade, where my teacher, Mrs. X. I can't tell you who Mrs. X is for security reasons. However, coming back to the extremely complicated question she gave us, guess what? It involved long division. Trust me when I say this, long division was a fifth grader's worst nightmare. What made it worse was the horrendous habit Mrs. X had of talking fast. I couldn't keep up with what was being taught. I stared blankly at the question, and my mind went completely blank. I couldn't understand a word of that question. This left me with no option but to raise my hand and call Mrs. X for help. Mrs. X comes over to my desk and says, Nivaan, it's easy, just divide the top number by the bottom number. Now, like any other person would say, I said, but how? Now, Mrs. X says, you know how to do long division, don't you, Nivaan? I nodded my head vigorously, but inside I didn't understand anything. It was like she was speaking Chinese. Even gibberish would have made more sense to me. Yet as soon I pushed myself through, I got it. Moreover, I understood it was Mrs. X who was partly to blame. Now, my experiences in maths may seem like a trivial problem to most of you here in the audience. However, a majority of students in India struggle with maths. Maths has always been a critical subject in the Indian education system. However, a majority of students struggle with it. A study found that 87.7% of students in India struggle with math, which means only 12.3% of students in India are proficient at math. While these statistics may seem alarming for most of you in the audience, and this issue needs to be addressed. So let's take a look at some of the solutions that we can implement in order to solve this problem. Firstly, it's really important to add practical application into one's learning. Often students today don't understand a concept's relevance in the real world. Understanding this will motivate students and engage them in the learning process. Because of the current rote teaching manner, students are not able to practice their critical thinking skills or real life application, and hence are not able to apply their learning into real life applications. Second thing we can do to improve this is to encourage group work. Math may seem like a subject which is difficult to study alone. Studying in a group allows students to ask each other questions and also communicate with each other. The third thing, this is a solution for most of you students here in the audience. This is the attitude. I'm sure at least some of you all here in the audience have a negative attitude towards math. This is doing nothing but not allowing a student to reach his or her maximum potential. This leads to a lack of confidence and causes a lot of mental problems, which is just not allowing students to reach their maximum potential. The third thing which we can do, and finally the last thing we can do, is to encourage making math fun. This can be done through math puzzles, math riddles, and math games. This does nothing but induces a positive attitude inside students and motivates them to learn the subject. I would like to conclude this talk by saying that there are many solutions that we as students and education centers can implement in order to help students get better at math. Thank you.